Do anybody make real shit anymore?
Put the word on the gram or get kept by just toss that ham in the frying pan. I stand and burn when I come and slam. Damn, I feel like the son of Sam. Don't make me wreck. That's with the check, got me going like General Electric. And the lights are blinking. I'm thinking it's all over when I go out drinking. Oh, making my mind slow. That's why I don't with the big oh, so I got to maintain. Cause it's like me, it's going insane.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. I'm finally set up to do video. I know the last one was all audio and it was all 5 hours. Thank you to everybody that did stick around for that 5 hour session. I thought it was pretty cool. It was very, it was a lot. It was topics, trending topics, politics, science, religion, ancient history. It was so much there. It makes sense why it was 5 hours. But today's cool as a because today I have a guest here that's on this show that I think I would actually say is my first legit guest on the show. Usually I would either have a panel or I would just somebody would just jump in. Where in this case it's an actual guest. Her name is there on the flyer. If you guys saw the flyer. And it's going to be dope because I always enjoy talking with people. I enjoy talking with you guys, with the guests that are either on Tony's show or Marvelous show or any other show that I might be working on. It's always cool talking with the people that are there. And today I have the privilege to do the same thing, except with you guys and the guests. And the guest here is TC the G. So let me bring her in for you guys. All right. There she is. Everybody say hi to her. You know, I'm a little, even though, you know, I'm kind of used to using this StreamYard, I still don't have complete, you know, workings about it because for one, it's hard for me to even look at the chat on here. I can't even, I'm not too sure where to go for. Oh, okay, there you go. All right, I finally got the chat. Shout out to the Red Cat Uprock, which is Lattice, Guppy AZ. My shout out to you guys for coming through today. Like I said, welcome everybody. This is the guest. I think I already said that. TC, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people who you are.
Yes, of course. I'm TC the G. Thank you so much for having me here, Norbies. I appreciate it. Like I was telling you earlier, I appreciate that you're so open to sharing your platform with us. And I don't have like 1 million followers, you know, but thank you so much. This is so amazing. And yes, I'm a rapper, a Mexican rapper. Hey. I live in Tijuana at this moment, but I'm on the way back to the States pretty soon. Hopefully I can rock the shows over there with you guys pretty soon and visit you and Tony and all that good stuff.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's always good to have goals and ideas of what you're going to do when you get here or whenever you're going to do something as far as projects and life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So today, I don't think I'm doing an interview type, but I think me and you are just going to have a conversation about things, right?
That's what we said. That's what we agreed on. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, you know, I think it's only fair that I say ladies first. As far as topics,
thank you. That's so gentleman of you. I love that.
I more men need to be like that, honestly.
No, yeah, thank you. And I think I mentioned it either. Do you have it on the flyer that I have my own podcast like you do, the TC?
Yes.
So it's podcaster. Yeah.
There we go. That's the great part, that you are a podcaster and you are used to talking to other people just like me. So that what makes this even better, because sometimes it's hard to get something out of somebody. You know, you'll have the, oh yeah, no, oh yeah, no, and that's literally it. Like, well, okay, well, a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more than those words. In which I'm glad because you have that experience, and you guys in the chat, if you guys can go to her page and make sure you follow her because she does have a lot of good content in there. You know, she speaks a lot about raza stuff aside from the music industry, and you know, things are generally going on. I apologize for my dog barking. I do have a dog, so sorry about that. But
no worries. What's the dog's name?
Lightning.
Lightning. All right. Yes. Lightning's part of the show.
Yeah. 90 years, and it's difficult for me to hit the mute button when he's barking so much. But Lightning,
Entonces se le quita las
uh,
baterías.
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out to Sergio, Risky Business, pues ya te digo, and Jesus for joining us. Okay, so like I said, ladies first, and then I'll throw a topic at you.
Okay, my topic then. What are we going to talk about today? I had in mind what I had told you was more about like relationship stuff,
Oh,
just just to like I don't know. I guess I've been going through that kind of stuff recently or something, but
really?
yeah, just like how things between people sometimes can get like as people we try to like kind of like one up each other, I guess, or you're trying to like
In
not
a relationship?
yes, relationship wise. I mean, maybe I'm talking about personal experience.
Yeah.
I think I myself, okay, I'm gonna just start with me. So
All right.
I'm scared of trying something new with a new person, or just because of past traumas, right, or past experiences that we have with other people, and it's hard to like start trusting again people, right? Like just not trusting again because these people are new and we don't know them, right? But just overall having an open mind, having an open heart with people, and just like starting from scratch. It's very hard to do that when you have all this pain and all this other stuff. You're carrying it with you, so I was just thinking that would be a good topic.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that seems to be happening a lot out there, with it's breakups or a struggling relationship where you guys are just not getting along anymore, and then it comes to the point where you're gonna choose I mean, it's difficult because some people could say, you know what, you got to stick to it. You got to
That's
stick to.
interesting. That's interesting because I was with this person, right, for 5 years, and that's what I was kind of like getting into, like the relationship thing, where it came from. But people told me the same thing, like, "Oh, you're giving up after 5 years," and it's like, after 5 years, is it really giving up, or is it like I'm just kind of like hanging up the gloves, or I'm just like retiring? Because after 5 years of trying to make it work, uh, it's not really giving up. You know what I mean?
You
I
know
mean, what
what?
do you think,
Yeah,
Norby?
that no, you know what? That actually doesn't make sense for me because I mean, I get it if it's like after like a few months of being together, half a year, maybe even a year, where you just you're just not there anymore. The honeymoon phase is over already.
Yeah,
They say there's like a 30-day honeymoon phase when you get with somebody, where those first 30 days are very critical to indicate, how far this is gonna go. And that's a short time. I mean, you stuck it out 5 years. I mean, that I gotta say that's a pretty good amount of time for trying and trying and trying. I mean, I don't think anybody can let's say throw rocks at you for you know leaving at that point.
yeah, I think so too. I think that's like it's like pressure the society puts on you, like
Mm.
to continue or to like make it work, and it's like ya no estamos en los ochentas, like fucking 1800s is like now it's like we don't need to like as women, right? We don't need
Yeah.
to like really, I guess you can say, put up with things, although it's kind of like a tough thing because we're all kind of like in our journey and learning as we go, but nada más pienso like if it's not working out, why are people still together? Like for me, like personally, like it wasn't working out, so it's like it was always fighting. So why are we as people so stuck about making it work when it obviously it's not working? And I think it comes down to like being insecure or feeling like maybe we're not gonna find somebody else, and it's like a fear, and I just think it's something that a lot of people kind of like don't think about, like, oh, we get so stuck in the relationship, like you said, like the honeymoon phase, and we don't see like, oh, this is something that's gonna change. I mean, maybe I'm not making too much sense, but anyway, Norby, your turn.
No, 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 no. I know. I get where you're coming from, and it's difficult. And I like to think that for the most part, the thing that affects that the most is education.
Yeah,
Education, because the more educated you get and the less the other person is. And I'm not saying whoever you're with was less educated, but I'm just saying, the more knowledge you consume, you start getting a different perspective of the world and how things should work and how you see yourself. Because the more you know about yourself and the more you know how the world works, you change, you evolve, you become somebody else, mentally, spiritually. And these things, if they don't affect like our past, our parents, because not to throw shade at them, but I think they weren't socially as socially what's the word? They like inside of it. Like right now, all of us are connected. Why? Because we have social media, we have things that connect all of us, and everybody knows their business, you know. Where back then, you know, you everyone lived in a small world. Our parents, they lived in a small world. They didn't have thousands of people looking at them, judging them, or making videos of them, and you know, advising them in a sense. Where now that's our reality. We have everyone telling us their advice, their ideas, or their thoughts, because we tend to put our stuff out there also sometimes, and if we don't, the word gets spread out a lot quicker now. It's not
Yeah.
about people going to your neighbor and telling, hey, well, you know what's happening with so and so. No, it's about DM. Now you could send DMs, and your people are having a conversation about your life without you even knowing it. That's the crazy part. And I don't know if you've experienced that yourself, where you realize, wait, I think these people know a little bit too much about me. How?
Yeah, stalkers, huh? Yeah, no, definitely. They do. They do know a lot because, like you said, people share a lot online. Definitely.
Now,
And it's,
would you say education and the fact that you know more about yourself over the last 5 years, that pretty much, you know, in a sense, made you come up with the choice of it's time to, you know, put up the gloves, and there's nothing going to happen here.
yes, I think that has a lot to do with it. Like you said, maybe we grew apart. Like I grew. Maybe I'm not saying I'm better because I don't want to say that about anybody. Everybody has their own journey and their own things that they have to learn. So yes, definitely, I grew. I've always been very spiritual. So from the get go, that was I was always more on that spiritual plane, I guess you can say, not seeing, being a righteous person almost, and it's a very high standard to have for some people, and it's a lot of work more than anything. It's a lot of work, a lot of personal work that you have to do, a lot of reflecting, a lot of meditation, and a lot of all that stuff, studying yourself. It's a lot of work, and not everybody's up for it. And if you are, it can take years to like practice being a good person, practice, anything else, right? You want to be a good basketball player,
Of
you have to
course.
practice, right? you,
Yeah.
ha- you want to have good responses with your partner, you have to practice. If you want to, all that good stuff, we have to practice. And another thing that I did notice as well is that with the relationships, I think a lot of the music industry has a lot to do with how people perceive relationships.
Oh,
And
really? Okay. All right. I want to hear this.
yeah, yes, no, definitely, right? With the strippers and all this stuff that people see on TV, right? And I'm not bashing strippers. And hey, if you want to be a stripper, that's your thing. I don't suggest that strippers have. Well, I mean, I'm nobody to suggest anything, right? But
Yeah.
me personally, I have experience like coming from a parent that was in the sex industry. Like when you have children, it's not the best thing. It's you're kind of like setting them up for failure already. You know what I mean? Because
You know, you really don't hear too many of those stories from kids that grew up like that. I'm glad you shared that with us. I appreciate that. That's something that you really don't hear. You don't hear that side of the women's children that are in in that, you know, industry, if you would.
yeah, we don't see that, right? We just see the glamour and all that stuff on the videos and all that stuff. But do you really know like what happens to those kids that live with those people? It's horrible. It's horrible. It's not the best thing for them. So if you want to be a stripper, if you want to be whatever, whatever you want to be, that's all you. But just kind of like don't have kids, porque you're gonna mess them up. You're gonna mess them up. People are gonna make fun of them at school. They're gonna notice, oh, your mom is, like all that stuff. Like it comes back to haunt your kids.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting that you would say that, because you have thousands of only fan girls that are doing the exact same thing what you're doing, and they're on the internet. It's forever. You know, it's gonna stay there. People screenshot it. People take pictures of it. You screen record. Your that stuff is everywhere. And we're talking about thousands of women that will have children, and their career will eventually affect their life.
Wow, I didn't think about it that way. That's true. A whole generation of kids that are coming from all these OnlyFans girls. That's true. That's crazy. I didn't think about it that way.
Jaden's gonna have a hard time in college.
Yeah. yeah, it's horrible, you know. So,
Yeah.
what was I saying about that? Well, yeah, the relationship stuff with this with the images that they show on the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like people glamorize like, for example, I mean, I can't generalize, right? But people usually, guys that I have experienced, they expect that kind of like treatment, like
Oh,
you know what I
okay.
mean, like
Yeah.
what a stripper would do, or like how do I
Yeah.
put this? Yeah, go ahead, Maurice. It's
No, I think they're getting you're in a sense you're saying they're desensitized and they expect that all women are like that. You know what? You're right because for the
yes,
most part, growing up as a kid watching those things, you kind of grew up thinking that all women do that stuff. Because I mean, especially the young guys that watch adult videos before they were supposed to watch adult video. Now you're desensitized and now you expect those things to
yes,
be like that. And that's one thing that has been lost of as far as relationships where there it's not a it's I mean, when you're in a relationship, it's really more for to aside from having a partner, you're also doing the part of procreating. The purpose of you know doing adult activities is for procreating. And now it's because of mainstream, because I and I like to say maybe a little bit because of the Europeans is been perverse to become in this illusion that all these boys that are growing up think that that's what's supposed to be, and then when they don't see it and it's not there, they get disappointed and they get frustrated, and then they start acting out towards their female partner. And it does happen because a lot of especially the young teenagers now, they got phones, they got access. You got elementary kids that have phones with all access. They can watch all this stuff now. And that's why I don't recommend parents giving their kids phones at all. If you have to give them a phone, give them a tablet, because you can't hide that shit when if they're
yeah,
doing something inappropriate. It's a big ass screen. But as soon as you give them a phone, that's when there's always going to be a friend or somebody that's going to be like, hey, go check out this page. And then they're going to grow up throughout their life thinking that that's how women are supposed to be. And
yeah,
that's unfortunate because you're right. Uh, Mainstream media and the internet now, they're making it a lot worse in a sense.
yeah. That I'm not too sure about the guy's perspective, like you're saying, but like as a girl, we kind of like, you see it nowadays how the girls are dressed. You know, they're
Yeah.
pretty much walking strippers. You know what I mean? They're all walking
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it really is influencing the young women to think that that's normal, and that's the way to, I guess, grab a husband, a partner, or something. But it's not too beneficial at the end of the day, because of course they don't have like the right things in mind, right? Like values. They're more focused about how I look.
Yeah.
Is my ass looking good? Are my titties looking
Yeah.
nice? Like, okay, but what about your soul? What about your heart? Like, what's going on there? You know?
Yeah. Are
If
you whole inside?
Yes, exactly. Who are
Yeah.
you inside?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. That's important because you're right. They are dressing more provocative, and especially in your industry, the music industry. Also, I mean, all these younger girls, it's some of them are dressing very provocative, and they know that by doing that they're gonna get a guy's attention. They don't care about the talent. They don't care about if they have talent. They just know if they show a good pair and a nice ass and a cute face, they're gonna get views. I mean, I don't even think they're making money, but I'm sure somebody in the background is making money.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, I totally see that happening, and it's sad because I tell people, look, you look at Whitney Houston, greatest singer of all time, but
Yeah.
did you ever see her dress all skanky? No.
Yes, exactly. She was classy.
Yeah, look
She
at
was classy.
Gwen Stefani. Oh, I mean, maybe she'll rock a bikini top, but for the most part, you'll see her like in pants, jeans, nothing too risque, if you will. So things that a lot of things have changed in as far as how much women show or what they suggest. I mean, look at Katy Perry's song where she probably turned out a bunch of girls into low key by lesbians. I don't know, in a sense, with that "I Kissed a Girl" song.
Oh yeah, I kissed
You,
a girl and I
uh,
hated it. Oh, I hear. I'm
that's what I'm
straight, so
saying.
I hated it.
Things like that. That they mold the young minds because a lot of young people they listen to. And it's funny because Katy Perry started off as a Christian singer.
Yeah,
So for her to go that route, it blew my mind. I mean, but then again, you do see a lot of Christian rappers, men and women, that start off like that, and then all of a sudden, wow, they're best friends, the devil.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, in my going back to the phone stuff, you're so right about that because my son, I gave him a phone when he was 8 years old,
Yeah,
and yeah, I caught him watching porn. So little homie was already
really.
like, yeah, at 8 years old, it was horrible. And I would go to work and I would give him the phone, but he would be with my mom and everything, like she would be watching him. But when I would get home, at times I'll be like, "What's going on?" He would act weird a couple of times.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
one day I came home and my mom was like, "Oh no, look at he was watching porn," and like I was like, "Oh my goodness." So after that, I had a talk with him, but then after that I caught him again like once or twice. And he was
really,
crying. He was crying. He was like, "Mom, I can't stop. I can't stop."
really. Wow,
Yeah, it was that horrible. It was that it's horrible. Like so
that's wild. But that's what. But that trips me out. Like, how do you think an 8-year old could have gotten to that point where they're seeing there?
yeah,
Like, is it a website? Was it a pop up? Was it a, you
yeah,
know, that's the thing when you give them phones, you just don't know who's in it. Also, you
exactly.
know, and that's a trip because that's why I tell a lot of parents don't give them phones. If you're gonna give them something like that, give them a tablet.
Yeah,
Because if they do try to watch something like that, everyone's gonna see it, and I'm pretty sure they don't want that.
yeah, yeah. No, and only at 8 years old, that's horrible. That's like almost like being kind of like the M word or like molested. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
watching that stuff. And I feel bad for him. He cried, and it's like I cried. It's like it's horrible
yeah,
to watch
yeah,
your kids go through that. It's like addiction
yeah,
at that small age.
yeah.
And it,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah. No, no, no. Go
It's
ahead, Norby.
no, I was gonna say it's a trip because maybe in the '90s, you know, somebody at that age with their friends, they'll all probably be like, "Whoa, that's cool. Share it with me."
A magazine or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now in these days, where you see a lot of these boys that are in middle school or high school, they're actually getting SA by the female teacher.
Yeah.
And again, in the '90s, your friends probably would have gave you the high five. Oh, way to go! You. But
Yeah.
now, when you see it happening more often, and especially when you become a parent, you're like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. All right, it's not as cool as it seemed when I was that age. Now it just looks really weird, especially because you have all these guys that are getting caught now with trying to pick up on like 13-year-olds and 14. I don't know if you've seen those videos where
No, I have
you know
not.
they set up the guy. They'll set up the guy with some fake account. They catfish him, pretend
Oh.
they're 13, 14-year-olds, and then they would set up the meetup, and then they would bring the camera crew, and then they would just bring the cops, and it's happening there. That's happening a lot more now,
Mm.
and it trips me out that if we're seeing so much of it now, imagine when the internet wasn't so as easy to do these kind of things, or when people weren't thinking, oh, let me try to trap these people. Imagine how many people did get SA bec- throughout that whole time. And now that these adults, these parents, they're concerned over their children. They're starting up these shows where they're catching these guys, where they're setting them up so they can get arrested and punished for targeting, minors.
Mhm.
And because it's a horrible thing when these guys intentionally do that. But again, going back to the female teachers, now you're seeing more female teachers that are getting arrested for doing the exact same thing. You only see one side of it, but you never really see the female side. That some older females, they go after these young middle school, high schoolers also. In the past it was always like, oh, it's always the old guy that goes after the young girl. But now we're seeing that it's the older girl that's going after the young boy. So it's crazy how the world has been, in a sense, like we were talking about, it's been perverse because of technology. And it's not only the guys, but the women are getting perverse also for the fact that they're going after, minors also. It's not just the guys anymore, it's the girls. And it's a trip because, like you said, these boys eventually, because these women are more experienced also, these boys that do get SA, they start expecting the same thing from somebody their age, and then it doesn't happen because a girl their age is just as experienced as he is, as far as if that age range.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because where I work here, there's a guy, and he said that when he was 17, we were just talking, having a regular conversation. Well, it's not too regular, but he was like, "Oh, when I was 17, I was going out with this 34-year-old teacher." And I was like, "Wow, so she was a pedo." And he was like, "What? What do you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, just because she's a woman doesn't mean she wasn't doing that. You were not 18, were you?" "No, I wasn't." "Well, then that's what she was."
Yeah, yeah,
And he's like, "Oh, damn, I didn't think about it that way." Like you said, I'm a guy, so I kind of thought about it like, "Oh, and it's like,
yeah,
I understand. But if
yeah.
you would have been my son, that girl would not, that girl wouldn't, she wouldn't probably not be here."
That part right there, and that part, yeah, you're right
Yeah.
about that. That's how it would be, and the fact that he reacted the way I said it, we would react because back then it was just like that. But once you become a parent, and you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, it isn't right. And then that's the other part too that in essence, some of these boys and girls, they tend to also try to get an older person. I mean, that has happened. That does happen where younger people want to get with older people for whatever reason, maybe mommy issues or daddy issues. They search for that older person that would give them that attention also,
Right.
and then they would get SA. So it's crazy because it does happen. And then the trivia part is that it's really up to the parent. The parent has to be responsible over that also, and you know take the route that they should feel is right for their child, because at the end of the day, if the child initiates it, that means they're the ones that are targeting. That means they're the ones that are hunting down these older individuals, boy or girl. And at the end, you got to tell yourself as a parent, well, okay, what did I do wrong to get my kid to look for that? Because
Mm.
it's not always the adult looking for the younger person. Sometimes it's the younger person looking for the adult. And that's the crazy part about this world we live in now, because young people have access to older people, and then older, and then it's vice versa. And then there's always been, that's always been a thing where younger people want to be older, or they want to be around older people. I don't know how many people I knew that got their fake IDs to go to a 21 and over club,
Hmm.
or even an 18 and over club. That happens. It's a reality, and it hasn't gone away.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was you're going back to your point, that one that you just made right now. The whole thing with people looking for older people, or young people looking for older people. It's true. Sometimes we go after like older people, like you said, maybe we have issues, but at the same time, them being a grown up, they should be like, you know what? You're 16, you're 17. I'm a grown up. You need to get your ass home. Don't
Got a good
call me.
point.
Or text me. They shouldn't go along with it either,
Yeah,
because that's the second part to that. Yeah,
that
she
too.
reached out to you. Yeah, she was young as fuck, but you should have
Yeah,
said no. You should have said no, and that should have been it.
that
You
part
should have
right
said,
there.
yeah.
And that's the crazy part. The complexity of all of it. It's a there's so much complexity in it because every situation, you know, has its own thing, and figuring it out is difficult. I mean, that's the tough part. That's why all these situations happen, because it's so complicated, and you wish you could understand your child, or they understand, but it's difficult. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I don't like to demonize like the internet. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you are, but like how you're saying how now the internet may be like corrupting people. I think maybe these things have been happening since the beginning of time. It's just that now that we have the technology, now we can see it. Now
yeah,
we see it all in the open.
yeah.
Now it's being televised, kind of thing. I think
Oh yeah,
humans, yeah, you know what I mean. Maybe I think humans, for the most part,
You're
I
right. You're
mean,
right.
that's just my theory. I don't know.
No, no, it's not a theory. I mean, throughout history, you can clearly see that that was a thing. I mean, it was a thing here in with Native Americans.
It
It
was.
is true that Native Americans, they, and that's the thing. You got people got to realize back then in tribes, you had a lady. I don't know what you would call them. That you would call them like there's a word for them. They're the ones that set up the marriages. I don't know if you're familiar with
Like a
that
shaman
name.
or something.
No, no, they're usually these ladies are the ones that will tell a family your daughter is going to marry that man right there.
Oh
I don't
wow.
know, Chad. If you know the name for that type of person, a lady, it's usually a woman that makes those choices.
Oh wow.
Back then, like for instance, in my tribe, it was never the guy that made the choice of who they get to choose to marry. It was always up to these ladies that would set up these marriages.
Okay.
And for the most part, they would choose younger women or younger girls to get married with an older man. And most of the time, they would do that because the older man is more settled, has a home, and can provide. Whereas somebody their age is not capable of providing yet.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
okay, it's not a pimp, it's not a madam, it's not a husky, because that's what the chat is saying. I don't know if you can see the chat. Shout out Julissa also, and Denver Dirt Bike in
Oh, let me see the chat.
Chicago. Can you see the chat by any chance?
I'm gonna go. I can't. I'm gonna have to go to the live to to the actual. I can't. Not
Oh,
on.
okay.
I'm like.
If you
I'm
look
in
to the
the
side,
StreamYard.
if you could see the StreamYard, right? There should be a panel to the
Oh,
left.
I see it now.
Ah, okay, great.
Okay.
Shout out to Pues Ya Te Dio. And but yeah, for the most part, damn, I already lost my train of thought. What was I saying just now? Okay, no, so they did. They man, there's a word for it. Chad. I know one of you guys know the name of that of these ladies that arrange marriages. Uh, but anyways, that's how it
Somebody,
was for
so
a lot of
Norby's
tribes.
his parent advice like, oh, I'm sorry, Norby's going. I'm sorry.
But for the most part, that's how it was for most tribes. There would be a woman, and a more older woman, maybe even an elderly woman that will do the matchmaking. Okay, you know what? A matchmaker. Yes, let's
Mhm.
go with that. Matchmaker. You would have matchmakers in tribes, and they would generally choose a younger girl to what you would now see as an adult, and that's how the marriage would be. They would set it up. It was never really the guy saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm going after that younger one." As far as I know from historical, you know, stories, it was always the matchmaker that chose who got together with who. I don't think they practice that so much anymore, but for the most part, that's how the way they would practice marriages. Unlike the Europeans and the Romans and their thing with boys. I know that was a very very bad thing that they were doing back there. I mean, it's crazy. They're not even ashamed of it. You look at the shows that they remake about the Romans. They even show that was a thing for them, and it's ugh,
They had nothing else to do, huh? They need to get a hobby or something. That's crazy. When you get
that
to
is.
that point where you have nothing else to do but just like that's crazy. To me, I mean to me it just seems like you guys needed a hobby or something
Well, I mean,
because
when you think about it, look. What did the Romans produce in modern times? The Catholic Church, the Vatican. What is the Catholic Church known for doing to boys?
yeah.
You know
Yes.
that practice never really went away, and that's the tricky part because that's been their thing for thousands of years, and come back to the present is still their thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Romans never really left, at least not that part, and that's crazy. That I just thought about that right now too. I'm like, man, these Romans they never really gave that up. They're still doing it,
They're still here.
and they're still being dirty people, horrible, horrible people. But yeah, for the most part, I see what you mean. Going back to what we were saying about relationships, where there's an expectation from women. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that I didn't think I didn't believe. But I'm trying to word this correctly.
Yeah.
I did grow up thinking that women knew how to do all these things, and when they came to those moments, I'm like, hey, aren't you gonna do this or that or this? And they're like,
Hmm.
well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, don't don't you know how to do it? And then and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, those things that you see in the movies, in the videos,
Those sexy things.
the sexy things, yeah. And then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, really? But in my mind, I'm thinking that's a normal thing. It's normal. They should know. But in all realities, no, not
And if you
everybody.
don't know, I'm gonna go look for the one that does do it. Yeah,
that part
yeah,
too, because that does
yeah,
happen. If you're a more immature type of guy, that's what you're gonna do. You're like, oh, you don't you won't do it, or it's either you don't know how to do it and you don't want to do it. But so if you don't want to do it, then I'm just gonna go look for somebody that does want to do it,
yeah.
and that happens. But again, I think again because of education, less education,
True.
nobody told that person like, no, they don't watch those videos like you do. They don't watch like you and your friends. That's just you guys.
Yeah, and
That
it's
must
not
be.
real.
It's
Yeah,
not real. It's not real. There's a director. There's a guy telling them do this and do that and
and
now
cut.
do this. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. It's not real. There's a
yeah,
director behind it. There's somebody writing out the scene.
exactly. I had to tell
And
my son that when he was going through that scenario, and I told him, Papa, at the end of the day as well, those porn sites, a lot of them actually are linked with all like the trafficking and all that child trafficking and all that stuff. So if you really, I told him, if you really think about it, son, you're you're supporting those kind of actions. I
mm,
mean,
yeah.
So
Oh, you're
I try to
right.
tell him sex is not bad. I mean, of course it's not, but just the whole thing. And some girls even get like también molested, or right, in those
Yeah.
situations, some of them get drugged. It's like
Yeah.
it's not always legit. And I
Yeah.
also tell them, and a lot of them fake it. So I had to go through the other route as well. Some girls, it's not really real. They're not really doing it for real.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah.
it's just cut, or whatever.
Yeah. No,
Action,
no, no, you're
cut.
right, because then some guys are gonna be like, man, what am I doing wrong? It works every time when I watch it in the movies, and
Guys
then
too, yeah. I guess you guys
and they
probably
get
feel pressured as well, yeah, to perform
yeah,
like those guys, yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure a lot of men, if not all men, one thing you guys gotta realize, these guys you see on there, there's not a lot of those guys. That's why they get specifically picked to do these moves, because there's not a lot of them. Not the majority of men are not packing like that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why those guys get chosen. Otherwise, if everyone's packing like that, you'd have a lot of different guy actors. But if you notice, it's usually the same guy over and over again, because there's not everyone's like that. And not all. There's like a freaking handful of them.
Yeah, it's very rare. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah.
And then for the most part, from what I hear, women don't exactly like that much either. So guys don't feel
That
too
size,
pressured.
that size,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of difficult size. I mean,
Yeah.
unless, it's a difficult size for sure.
It is. It is. That's what I would
Yeah.
imagine, because I can definitely, without a doubt, say yeah, I'm not that guy. But for the most part, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm not that guy. I'm okay saying that, because these guys are sometimes I'm like, this guy's not human in a sense, you know.
Oh, Norris is human. Check.
But you know what? But no, I'm glad you brought up those points, because it's true. We all grow up with this weird illusion. Like for the most part, women grow up with the illusion that a guy is supposed to be a certain way with them. They're supposed to be Prince Charming sometimes. They're supposed to psychically know exactly what they want and when they want it. But we don't. Guys are very dumb. We don't get it. Especially me. I don't get it. I can't tell when I tell people I can't tell when a girl's flirting with me. As for the most part, I think they're all just being very nice to me.
Oh,
Well,
that's
because
nice.
I'm nice to them and I'm nice to everybody for the most part. So I can't tell when somebody tells me, "Hey, bro, she totally wants you." I'm like, really? She seems pretty normal to me. Like it was just a very social meeting. Um,
Wow.
and they look at me like, "Damn, bro, you really don't know."
This is a
I'm like,
social meeting.
I really don't know. Mind you, I am a very social guy, and I talk to a lot of people, men and women, and I really can't tell. Now, I take that back. I can definitely tell when a guy is hitting on me, and then that's the more awkward part, because since guys tend to be more aggressive, you know, I have that bad luck. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm so socially open. I think guys think that I'm that open. I'm like, no, bro. Like, thank you, but no, I'm not that guy.
I'm flexible, but not that flexible.
I'm out for women. Nah, I'm out for women. I tell them that. Oh my God, it's embarrassing for me to say that, but you know what? Unfortunately, I don't know why guys tend to, unfortunately, hit on me. And I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I tell people, you know what? I can't take that as a compliment because you look at a gay man and you're like, you know, they work out. They're pretty successful. They're pretty clean. I mean,
Oh,
they're like
I want one of
everything
those.
I want to be except for with women, you know, with a woman. But for the most part, these guys seem to be, you know, I always tell people because if you're from LA, you know that West Hollywood is our gay capital. All right.
Hmm.
The crazy part is you go to like downtown, you go to Silver Lake, you go to Culver City, you go to Santa Monica, you go any place where straight people gather to like, you know, have fun, drink, and socialize. But those are like the dirtiest places in LA, right? Where the straight people are at. When you go to West Hollywood and you see them, these guys party all freaking day. They party all day. You go there in the morning, these guys are partying. You go there in the afternoon, they're drinking. You go at night, these guys are still drinking. And you're like, what the hell's going on with these guys? How the hell I mean, it shocks me how these guys can party and at the same time somehow, some way have money. I'm here struggling and to go to what was it's a crappy club, a
Taco
crappy
Bell,
bar, Taco Bell, and these guys are partying like they got it made. I'm like fucking assholes, man.
because
Fucking
they don't have
assholes.
a woman.
You know, it's funny you
Women
would
are
say that.
expensive. Yeah.
It's funny you would say that because a new report came out that uh lesbian marriages about 70 more than 70% of them get divorced within 3 years,
Wow.
whereas male gay marriages could go more than 10 years, if not
Wow.
and if not until you know they die. But for the most part, lesbians do not last. They can't take each other. They got a 3 year max. After
That's
that,
crazy.
no, somebody either is gonna get beat up or somebody's gonna get cheated on. And from what I saw in that report, most of the time one of them gets beat up,
What
which
do you
is
think that is? Why is it that guys last longer than girls?
that's it. You know what? Because guys are we're simple. I mean, you could be straight and gay. We're very fucking basic. We're very simple creatures. We like to play games, and by that I mean video games, sports. We like to eat, and we like
That's
to,
right.
you know, we're
I like
very
to
simple.
too.
We're simple,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
with women, the thing I see with lesbians is they don't know who the man in the relationship is, or sometimes they'll switch it up. Okay, you be the man, but and then they they get to that point of, well, if you're the man, why aren't you doing this for me? And that's when things go downhill.
We're gonna have
And,
them go after us, Norby's after this
mhm.
podcast. All of the gay people.
They just might, but you know what? This is why I say facts, because they could see these facts are true. You
Oh,
know,
okay. I hear
it
you.
is real that they did the research, and it just shows that women just don't get along with women. I mean, to a certain point they do, but and then they just get mad at each other. And then imagine giving each other the silent treatment. Nobody wins.
Damn. Everybody's in the same.
Nobody's
Nobody
talking.
speaks. Yeah, nobody speaks.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you know they do say in some studies that women are more likely than cheat than guys. And I think when you have two lesbians together, I think for the most part it's a guarantee one of them is going to cheat on you.
So you're saying the guys won't cheat, but the girls will?
Yeah, you know
That's
what?
interesting. Why?
You know what? You know what? Because I'm glad you said that because I've noticed throughout history, men have always been the romantic one. You tell me one romantic act that women do that is not sexual.
Cook dinner,
Okay,
take care
cook
of your
dinner.
kids,
That's
give
like a
birth.
well. Okay, give birth. That's procreating.
That's
That's
love.
procreating, and a guy can cook. But for the most part, anything. What can you name about guys that guys do that are romantic? They
Um,
they, they give
make it tattoo, like you
candy.
said.
They
Yeah.
give jewelry. They write songs for them. They uh they give them massages. They take them out wherever they want. They buy them gifts. They give to them before they'll even give to themselves sometimes.
It
And
depends on the
I
guys too, right? Because, like you said, it
right.
depends on their maturity level. Because
And
some
that
of them
too.
don't see it that way. Yeah, go ahead.
And I would say that for the most part, I saw this one clip about this one guy. Every guy wants to love their women until that woman fucks him over. And then that guy gets so hurt that at that point he decides, fuck all women. I'm just gonna fuck as many as I can and never love again. Never bring down this wall. And I think for the most part that's true. A lot of these guys that are assholes, they got their heart broken by somebody. Somebody they actually really loved.
Yeah, pobrecitos.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it happens. It happens. Some guys, I knew a friend that well, actually, not. He became my friend, but I knew his wife, and they had been together since I would say like high school, and then she went to college, and he just became like a regular worker guy. But she went to college, and then at the end of college, she ended up cheating on him with one of the students there, and their marriage fell apart. And I thought that was crazy because that guy really did give up a lot for her, and then he just got fucked over. The good part is that he found
That's story.
somebody, and he has a family now. He's good now, but that really fucked him up. That this guy gave up so much, even leaving the state so she can pursue her education, just to get fucked over like that.
Yeah, that's horrible. That sucks.
Yeah,
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 that's horrible. I
it
think we all
is.
get screwed over at one point in our lives, though, right? We all get
I
our
think
heart
yeah,
broken. But that's
yeah,
that's a very big way to get it broken. Like when you give in so much of yourself and luego para que
yeah.
te paguen así, that's crazy.
And it happens both ways. Sometimes women give up a lot for men to come up, and then a guy, as soon as they're up, bye.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, look at that one. Oh, a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chicali Batman says he wants to hear you talk more.
Oh, what should I say?
Whatever input you want to give.
I think we should do your topics as well, Norbies. What? Because that was me, and I think it's almost like the hour right here with that topic that I pulled
No
your man.
way. Really?
Yeah, it's already 8.
Holy crap. Well, this is why I ended up doing 5 hours on Monday because honestly, it when we start talking or when I'm talking with the chat, you know,
Yeah.
time just goes by a lot faster. Okay, so I do have a topic that I did want to get into, and you know what? Oh, also before I forget, shout out to the Hip Hop Jedi for that dope ass intro he did.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hey, I was like, wow, this looks really badass. Good job, hip
Yeah,
hop
bro. Yeah, good
Jedi.
job to
That's
Randy.
right.
He tends to do all the intros for like me, Tony, and Marvelous also. So
No.
shout out to him, definitely. Okay, you know what? Let's go somewhere on your side where you're at. I think you're familiar with that thing that's trending right now with that girl Valeria, the
Mm,
TikToker,
no, I'm not.
the one that got unalived on her live.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
familiar with it or not?
I've
Not too
heard little
much.
things. I've heard little things here and there. Yeah.
Okay, so she was a. I guess you would say she was a makeup influencer. She was one of those makeup influencers. Got really big, got a big following. Doing her makeup tutorials. I guess very pretty girl.
Yeah.
So I guess she was doing her live, and from watching the live, you could tell that she wanted to go home already. You could hear her complain, "Oh, I want to go home. Why am I still waiting here?" Like, I guess one of her friends was keeping her there, waiting for some sort of, I guess, package, some very expensive gift. Supposedly, she gave her or
Hmm.
got for her. So she waited there, and the guy, I guess somebody did bring something. I guess the friend was actually bringing like stuff to keep her there. So every moment she would get something to just so she could stay there.
Yeah, she was
And
keeping her.
then until the last guy, some guy came in on a motorcycle and asked her if if she is who he is asking for. And she says, "Yeah, that's me." And as soon as she did that, this dude put a hole in her chest and then two holes in her head while the live was going on. So apparently she had maybe like 17,000 people on that live, and they all watched her get on the live at
Mhm.
that very moment.
Yeah,
Now,
my
I
friend
want
did
to say
something.
something to the people that send me those clips without telling me. That was really messed up. I didn't need to see that happen because it was gruesome. It was very gruesome. You never really get to see somebody that gets done in like that, and for that young lady to get done in like that on a live, it's trippy because we come to that point where like that could happen to these influencers, to these people, and I don't see why that would happen to her. From what I hear in the backstories, is that it has something to do with an ex-boyfriend and her friend. That maybe the ex-boyfriend has something going on with the friend, and the friend decided to set her up to get unalived. This is why I say women are women aren't friends with each other because I
It
mean
depends. It depends on the woman. I'm
that
very
too,
friendly
that
with
too.
women, you know. I'm not saying like I'm like best friends. If you tell me something, I'm gonna have to tell you something back, you know. But
Mm,
overall, it's not like that. It's more of
yeah.
a,
You
a
yeah,
sisterhood, you know. But of
yeah.
course, it comes down to maturity again, like you said.
That part, you're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
absolutely.
And but you know why I say that? Because in the guys' world, most guys, a lot of guys actually end up going to jail or deleting somebody mostly because of a woman.
Mm.
Yeah, mostly lovers quarrels, or the chick gets mad and tells her dude, "Oh, do something to him," and he ends up unaliving the person, and they go to jail. I don't know. I don't
The
want to
Pete
say
was
that
that good, huh? The Pete was that good. He had to go kill somebody.
Ah, that's a real thing. That's a
Oh, he's
real
like, no, no,
thing.
it's mine right here. Hold on.
So yeah, that was an interesting story that happened. I was shocked. I was like, wow. If you look at her, she was a very pretty young girl, and she looked like she had a lot going for her as far as her future. To
Yeah, my
just
friend told me about that one yesterday, and I told her, you know what? People in Mexico, people that happens to them, she was probably connected to the cartel somehow.
You think
Things like
so?
that, yeah, things like that don't just happen for no reason, you know. She was
That
probably connected to somebody, you know, and that
yeah,
happens everywhere, not just here in the states too. People get set up because you're doing the wrong thing or hanging out with the wrong people, you know.
you're right. You're right.
Aquí, it's more of a propaganda thing. Like Mexico no es así, you know. Like
Yeah,
there's no people just shooting around. Maybe more down south. I haven't been there,
yeah,
pero overall, si no estás conectado con los del cartel, nothing happens to you. You're a regular civilian like everywhere else, you know, like in the
yeah.
States. It's a
I'm
game,
glad.
pretty
Now
much.
I'm glad you said that because for the most part, it's just the same thing over here. It's the same thing over here. If you're not involved with that world, like you say, you're just a civilian. I mean, that doesn't mean you're not untouchable either.
Of course.
But for the most part, it's the same thing. And they do try to make it look like in Mexico, that's happening. That's why you have all these like Latino for Trumps and all these white people saying, "Look what they're doing there." Even the president is working with the cartels. That place is Mexico is being run by cartels. They own it. I'm like, no, they don't, man. How are they gonna own it? If they own it, they would have already been the president. It would have been
Yeah.
a lot different.
Maybe they work together, you know, but
Yeah,
they're not running the entire show, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's what and it's crazy because they do try to paint that for us so we don't go there or we feel some type of way about Mexico and their government. Like I could say, yeah, okay, well, it was very corrupted, but like I said, I don't think it's as corrupted anymore. I'm pretty sure there is still some form of corruption, but what government isn't corrupted?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
You know,
Which
I
one
know
is
the
that?
U.S. is corrupted. I know California is definitely corrupted. We are
Yeah.
definitely getting screwed over by our politicians here. But
Yes.
for the most part, I'm glad you said that because they do try to paint that picture that Mexico is like that. Everybody's,
Yeah.
deleting each other.
Yeah, my friend, she was all scared. She was like, "Oh, that girl that died." She told me yesterday. You know, I was like, "Girl, she was probably connected to the cartel. You don't just get shot up for no reason. She probably had one of those little narco boyfriends, you know, and something
That
happened."
part,
Yeah.
that part, that part. You're right because that's the one thing I do believe in the some of these movies about narcos where the guy that wants their revenge gets there and just deletes everyone, including the women. You don't hear that part about the women that got deleted in those places because you party with them. Some enemy is gonna come through, get the revenge, and you're just gonna be what's that word? Collateral, I guess, collateral damage
Yeah, collateral
because
damage.
you want to hang out with them. So that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah. And I think the media, I think that's another way that they keep us stuck to the TV. They create these scenarios and like, oh, Mexico is like, oh, and then so you're stuck to the TV and you're like, oh yeah, but it's like, no es así, no es así. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. Like I said, not where I live at least, I haven't been all the way down south. I
Yeah,
heard it's worse down south, just like
yeah,
it's worse down south in the States, when you guys go to
yeah.
down south. Ahí está bien feo.
No, you're right. I mean, in LA, the worst part is South LA and then East LA. Not so much West LA.
Yeah, and they also say like, oh, Mexico is like so poor or like so many drugs and like. But have you guys gone to the what is that called? That Skid Row in LA is the
Oh,
same
oh
thing.
my God!
You know what I
No,
mean? Like
no,
there's
it's
no
not.
Skid
It's
Row
not the
in
same thing.
Tijuana.
It's a lot
Yeah,
worse. It's a lot
exactly.
worse in Skid Row. I mean, these people are literally dying. Getting deleted on the streets by themselves. Because it's either the drugs that they find or they're getting sold really cheap drugs, and it's bad. I mean, I've seen like maybe two people like literally get heart compressions on the streets because they're dying. And
Wow, that's
I'm
crazy.
like, you know what? I'm not gonna stick around to see if they made it or not. I'm just gonna keep going.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
horrible. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
sad.
we call it like the Walking Dead
Mm,
because they would just walk and without thinking of where they're walking, and you could easily hit one of them
yeah,
when you're driving through there. But it's pretty bad. And that's why I tell people I don't understand how you're gonna say another country is bad and not look at our country. It's really messed up. It's really fucked up.
yeah,
And we're paying so much in taxes to help them, and they're still in the same place. That doesn't even make sense. Like, where's all that money going to?
yes, exactly. Yeah, when people tell me, oh, like, what about Skid Row? Let's look at that
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah.
What
No.
happened there? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Don't talk
It's
about
very.
Mexico. There's no Skid Row in Tijuana like that. I mean, I haven't been everywhere like that, but I mean
Yeah.
down south. But like in Tijuana, there's no Skid Row. Yeah, está la Cahuila. Yeah, there's drugs and things, but with the new president, things are getting cleaned up. They are. They are.
Really.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Everything. Like
You
even
guys.
like the
Yeah.
workplace. Ahora ya pueden hacer demandas for like workplace. Before people wouldn't really like demandar, because
Really.
people were scared, like work labor laws.
Yeah.
And I think people that get deported, they have kind of been a big factor here in Tijuana because we bring that culture to Mexico, the U.S. culture. Almost sue your ass.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
all the people that get that were getting get deported, they have that kind of mentality. So here in Tijuana, like it's becoming more prominent now that people are like, oh, I'm gonna sue you. So
Oh.
the workplace it's becoming better now.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Especially in because before, I mean, if you worked at a restaurant, you only worked off of tips. You only earned tips. You didn't get
Yeah,
paid. So if you didn't if you didn't have good service, you're not gonna make any money. You could
exactly.
literally leave work an 8-hour shift and not make anything if you didn't get tips.
Yeah, that's
And
that's hard.
that's crazy. That was crazy that's how it was before. And thankfully, you're right. Things have changed. Things are getting better. And hopefully it keeps going like that because, Mexico, I've always said Mexico has so many resources. They shouldn't be a third world country. I mean,
Definitely.
it doesn't make sense that Mexico has what had the most richest man in the world, which is that guy Slim. Like
Yeah,
how
Mexico, one of the Mexicans, right?
yeah, how does the richest man in the world come from Mexico? What did he do? Well, we found out what he did. He monopolized the telecommunications for Mexico. He owned all of it.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he owned all of it, and it was his. Everybody paid him for telecommunications.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how he became so rich. But they didn't have those monopolizing laws. Monopoly laws. They didn't have those monopoly laws like they do here in the states. Here in the states, they have those laws where you can't do that. Where if
Mm,
you, as soon as the government finds out that you have it all, they're gonna break up your company.
yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that that's going on. You guys have a very Well, when I say you guys, I mean Mexico has a very strong. I don't know if it's a state attorney or no, defense secretary of defense for Mexico. He is the guy that's publicly going out saying that he's going after the cartels and the politicians.
Yeah, they're cleaning the streets. They're cleaning the streets. They definitely are. Big time. Big time.
That's good. That's good. It should be clean because, like I said, Mexico should be a world power.
I love that. Yeah, I agree with
It should-
that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, look, this year we're
So
seeing the
beautiful over here. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Places.
we're seeing the first electric cars coming out of Mexico. I think that's major.
And Tesla's come over here, right? Is that what you're referring to? Tesla?
No, 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 a Mexican company owned by a
Really?
Mexican, designed by Mexicans, engineered by Mexicans. It's their company, their cars.
Wow. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. And I'm in Mexico. You're teaching me something new today.
It's because I like to be informed of what's going south of here because the U.S. makes it a thing where they don't want us to know what's happening down there. Risky business says if they're affordable. From what I saw in the reports, these cars are going to go from starting at 12,000 and up. Full electric car, 12,000 and up. I mean, that's affordable.
Big
Where
time.
yeah, a Tesla is going to cost you like 38,000 and up. Where they made these two model cars that are going to be starting at 12,000. I think that's very affordable, especially for because I'm pretty sure they're not still getting paid that well off in Mexico.
No, we're not dollars, that's for sure. Not
Yeah, not
dollars.
dollars.
Yeah, not dollars. Yeah.
So 12,000, I guess if you would say pesos, is very affordable. 12,000. Do they say dólares for the bills over there, or did they still say pesos even if it's like a high number?
No, if it's a dollar, it's a dollar. But if it's Mexico, it's pesos. It depends what currency you're using.
Okay, so it's always pesos. Like it's gonna be like 12,000 pesos. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
all right.
It's always pesos. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. All right, so we touched on my topic. No, we didn't go as far as the relationship one with yours,
I
but
know. Mine went far. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot to go with that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, definitely. Big time. I was also thinking about that gay stuff because me quedé pensando, I was telling my son because my son he likes to make fun of gay people. He just starts to like joke about it, you know? And last
yeah,
time le dije like, son, that's not too good. You know why? Because a lot of those gay people, because I've done my research too, and
yeah.
a lot of the people that are gay, they say that they're gay not because they were born like that, but because the majority of them were molested,
Yeah,
it
yeah, that
wasn't
part.
really because they were born. So it's like I told my son, like, Papa, you're making fun of them. You're making fun of their pain and whatever they went through that made them turn like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe even
no,
the lesbians went through something like that.
yeah.
So
You're right. You're right. I mean, the lesbian stories that I hear is usually some guy essayed them, and then they just never trusted guys anymore. And society also that tells them because they'll meet after that happened, they'll meet somebody that went through the same thing and they feel the exact same way. So
they bond
they bond, and
like
then they make it a thing where we hate guys. You
yeah.
know, we hate guys, but we still use
Yes.
things that are shaped like guys to.
And it's funny how you said that one of them has to be the boy and one of them has to be the girl, and it's like, so if it's not really meant to be like that, why are you guys even making a boy and a girl out of you guys?
That part
Right? Yeah.
exactly. I do tell other kids too, because I do know kids that make fun of them also, or that that think about it. I tell them, you know what, you got to really think about it this way. That one gay guy right there, he is the last of his line. One, if he doesn't have any siblings,
Wow.
and this guy doesn't have a kid, that his whole family history from whenever it came from completely gone forever. No more. There goes that tree. That tree withered and dies because there's no more leaves growing, no more
That's an
branches.
interesting point of view. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, they're
Well,
losing more. They're losing a lot.
that's what's happening here, like in the U.S. and Europe, and even in Northern Asia. A lot of the white demographic, they're not having children because either they're turning gay or they're choosing not to have children because of what's going on with the world situation. but for the most part, their numbers are dwindling and going down rapidly. So that's why I tell them, like, that's it for his family. Once he goes, that's it. Nobody's ever going to remember that family history ever again.
Wow.
Completely gone from history.
That's
I thought that was crazy that for a lot of these guys or and girls, because they won't pass on their bloodline either.
hmm
So if they're the only female in their family and they don't have a child, there goes all of their family history. There goes everything that their families did to survive, to
wow.
fight for a place in human history. Gone.
Yeah, that's a very big way of thinking about it. That's true. It's not just sex. It's a whole bloodline. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's a whole
You
bloodline.
could think about it like that.
Yeah, and it took me a while to realize that because for the most part, I really didn't care too much about wanting to know anything about gay people, and then because that's their life. If they want to be gay, be gay. That as long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you? But and then like I see a bigger picture. I'm like, what's happening with our people, with the people that are in power, and I see it. I see that our people we're having kids. We're having kids left and right. We're having like 1 through 10 kids,
Yeah.
depending, and we're not stopping. We're still going at it. We're still having kids like rabbits, but their population is completely slowing down. I mean, they said Italy and Germany in 50 years will have their last generation of their people.
Wow.
After that, that's it. Nobody, some other ethnicity is going to come in and take over their land and their properties because there's no children to pass it on to.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy because the world really has changed. You see, most people they look they most people look at the things that are happening, the dramatics, the oh shit, economy,
Yeah.
tariffs, war, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that it's slowing down. Population is slowing down. It's going down. They say that population is one of the biggest problems on Earth. But when you really look at the numbers, the population is dropping dramatically. Like what in a few years even though we already know we're the majority in the states, it's gonna be very obvious in the next 50 years that we are the majority because we see each other in every single city and we see a lot of us.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're everywhere, right? This is our
For the
land.
most part, yeah, yeah. For the most part, I mean, I don't know who. I forgot who. I talked to somebody on Marla's show that's from New York, and he said New York is the raza that's there is from Puebla. Like anybody in the kitchens, anybody working the in the backgrounds, is all from. Are they're all people from Puebla? I like, oh shit, and it's true because
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this one chef. I forget his name. He kind of passed away some years back, or people say they took him out. He was a chef that would go to Mexico a lot. White guy, Bourdain,
Ransom.
Anthony Bourdain. Okay, so he had his whole kitchen staff was people from Puebla,
hmm
and this is in New York, one of the fanciest, most expensive restaurants in New York, and all the cooks were from Puebla.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because like I said, we're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere. And it seems like Mexicans always choose like a specific place to go to. Like you're saying Puebla. And it seems like, oh wow, so all Puebla like they like New York then, because that's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah. That's a trip when you get to God, and it's crazy. That's why I always say it's crazy when people say we're the minority. We're not a minority of anything. You know,
Yeah, we're not.
no,
Definitely.
no.
The
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Well, let me go back to the gay agenda because I got like a thought, and that was
you okay? Go for it. Go write it. Write it.
okay,
I'm all
perfect.
ears.
Regarding the gay agenda, because I was back to the sexy thing with the girls and the strippers and the gay stuff together. So I was telling my son last time as well, like we were comparing, we were we were comparing videos, okay? Because he was telling me about that little Nas X person, right? Like how
Oh, okay.
you know how they do all that gay stuff and all
Yes.
that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I showed him the Nate Dogg video, the one with Ludacris with wow, maybe I should. It's not gonna sound too good of me to say this, but you know the I Got Hoes song.
Oh, oh yeah, okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know if
yeah.
you've seen that video, but pues,
Yeah.
okay, the girls there, they look really classy. Okay, they're dancing like regular dancing. They're not like how nowadays. Like I told them, look, Papa, look at the difference. Look at the difference how things have progressed. Like you're saying, like the desensitizing of
Desensitized, yeah.
yeah. Because before era más como like, oh, they're dancing. Like it was more like of the art, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's more like no, now they're just naked overall. They're just they're just being strippers. They're not really like there for the art and yeah, yeah, that's horrible.
I haven't seen that music video in a long time either. That I got hose one.
Yeah, with Nate Dogg and Ludacris.
R.I.P. to Nate Dogg.
Yeah, all right, yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite. Number
He's a
one.
favorite for a lot of people. I feel even though his kid has been getting in trouble, apparently.
I like that video he did. Oh, I did. I thought it was hilarious. The one where when the fires happened and then his son did that song. Did you hear that song?
No, no, no. I
The
didn't hear
city's
that
on
song.
fire, but I still gotta smoke. I was
Oh, no, no. I haven't seen that one.
it was hilarious.
I gotta check that one out. If I let's see. You said it was classy, huh?
Yeah, like the girls, like just the appearance of the girls versus what they look like now, Of course, they're in bikinis y se miran bien bonitas, right? But
Yeah.
overall, like the feel is different from like the 2000s, 90s. It was like more of a art to the dance when they were in the
Ah,
videos.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Now
could
it's
see
just
that.
more about sex, which is fine. A lot of and even rappers nowadays that I've seen, like for example, Reverie, like I seen that she puts like pictures of her naked on her account, or not naked, but like booty pictures and things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, almost like a soft.
Soft porn kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, I don't bash people, right? And some people might, oh, she's just hating because she doesn't do it, or she probably doesn't have the body to do it. And that's not the point. The
I
thing
think
is
that's the
that,
video. Can you see that on the screen?
oh yeah, 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 there it is, yeah.
I'll let you talk.
Yeah, it's more classy, except for the yes, exactly, for the most part. So that's what I was telling my son. I was like, Papa, you can tell, you can see the agenda, how it's happening right before our eyes, because things look so different now, like completely. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and now that I think about it, you're right. The when you look at this, I'm gonna show pieces of it here, where it's like I'm like, fuck yeah, yeah. The kids, no kid should be watching this stuff.
Which is
That the Romans were up there, but no, we were up there.
mhm.
We did a lot more things than they did. They're compared to. I like to think compared to us, that part of the world are still babies compared to what we done. But
Yes.
but and I talked about this on the last live that I did. There's a history of ours that we don't have anymore, and it is the reason why we are where we are right now. And now we reset it. We ended up becoming back into our baby form. But even in our baby form, we were still more healthy and more clean than those people on the other side of the world. We
Yes.
we we still practice health, knowledge. I mean, we even had education. We built a system of
Yeah.
educating the young. We started schools before the Europeans even thought of that concept of teaching others.
Yeah. Yeah. We were on a different path. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I said, we were in a reset form where we became ourselves babies again, and up to now where we are, I would say we're waking up to what could be, what will be our fuller potential.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with another panel on TikTok because I do TikTok
Oh, you do?
sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So in TikTok, there are actually people that I guess would call themselves indigenous, and they would start panels to talk about indigenous subject. And the main subject for them is that how can we unite as indigenous people from South America to North America? What do we need to do to unite ourselves?
Mhm.
TC, in your thoughts, what do you think would be the best way for all us indigenous people in North and South, from North America, South America, could do to build on unification?
Have a common goal. Have a common goal, and then from there, everybody can build and pitch in. Which I think the most common goal would be to take care of our people. We all need to take care of our people. If we keep that in mind and our children, we can definitely unify. But it's when we start thinking about ourselves as single individuals, when we start separating ourselves from the whole, then we start like thinking of not unifying. We're not unified anymore. We have lost our tribe, our connection to each other. And I think the States does that a lot because the parents, they're at work all day. Los niños se quedan solos. Like there's no community over there, basically, because everybody's just working all day. Aquí in Mexico, I mean, people work as well, but people are around their family more, because
Yeah, yeah,
they don't have that culture of the hustle and grind and money and, the
yeah. No,
American
you're right.
dream thing.
You're right. You're right. They don't have that. I mean, when I go to the pueblos, they're chilling. I mean, they'll go to work during the day, but for the most part, after they're done with their 5 hour shift or 6 hour shift, they're done. They're just chilling in the mountains. Well, now they're just looking at their phones. Unfortunately,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're plugging in like that.
yeah,
But
they're plugging in like that.
yeah, I mean, that's as far as I can take it right now. What do you think,
I
Arisa?
mean, well, thank you for asking. Well, when I came into this panel, and mind you, they made me wait like an hour before I could talk. But then
Really?
again,
Wow,
but then
Norvis, you're
again,
very patient.
but then again, it's from what I saw, a lot of them knew each other, and because they all talked to each other, like they've been talking to each other for a few months, maybe even years. So I kind of saw like, okay, well, this is like, then this was my first time being there. Also, I never done a TikTok panel. I don't
Hmm.
know. That night I was just bored, and I would just wanted to see what what this was all about.
Yeah.
And again, I waited for an hour patiently. And then when it came down, when finally they asked me, well, okay, so Nobi, because I go under Nobi Lightning on TikTok.
Hmm.
They finally asked me, so what do you think would be the best way for us to unite?
Hmm.
And I told them, well, you know what? Honestly speaking, the best way for us to unite, and I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying from here all the way down to South America, is that we really need to choose one language.
Oh, okay.
And they at first they took it wrong, where they thought I was saying that. Shout out to Marvelous also. He's in the chat.
Hey, Marvelous.
The first thing they thought is like I was telling them to forget their language, stop focusing on their language, which it wasn't what I was trying to say, because I truly do believe each tribe should definitely focus on their language, learn it, try to speak it, try to write it if possible. But for the most part, we need to choose as a whole one language, which will either be English or Spanish.
Mm,
Because for the most part, if we choose one of those language from here to South America, we can start talking to each other in South America with that one language. I mean, for the most part, it's looking more like it's going to be Spanish because the majority know Spanish. But me being more, being from the states, I'm more comfortable with English. I'm not gonna lie, my Spanish is not all there, but I could still do the Spanish. But for me, I would definitely say keep your language, learn it, keep it amongst your tribe. That's great. That's beautiful. But if we're really trying to unite each other, we have to choose either English or Spanish because aside from our native language, we know one of those languages. Wherever you're at in North America or South America, you know one of those language. Sometimes both or three.
yeah. That
But
reminds me of the Avatar movie. Have you seen the Avatar movie? Like
I've only seen the first one.
oh, okay, you know how, well, no, then you're not gonna, no, I think I'm talking about the second or third,
Really?
where they had to unite, but they all have different languages, but they
Really?
had like a translator. Yeah, they still united though, because they still know that they're the same people, they know that these are my brothers, these are my sisters. We don't
Oh,
speak the
that's
same language,
interesting.
but we know you're the neighbors. So they had the common goal, in that movie, which was protecting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much
That's
the thing.
interesting that they would do that, because honestly, I would have expected everyone on the whole planet to speak the same language. I don't know why. I just would think everybody speaks the same language.
I think
But
you're part of the Illuminati. I think you're the one.
but that's interesting that they would go that route where they would see how this world is and they would put that into the script where no,
Mhm.
they don't all speak the same language. All they're different tribes that came up with different languages. That's
Yeah,
very interesting. Very
yeah, they were
interesting.
all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In that movie, like I always, supposedly I've seen another podcast where salió la Candace Owens, and she said that there's a division in the White House where like the a division where they kind of like control what the movies, the messages that are going to be in the movies that we see.
Yeah.
So there's like a complete department that's intertwined with that, and some people still don't believe that the government is involucrado with the movies and things like that, and the things that we watch, but they
No,
are, they are.
no, you're right. And shout out to Jeff Reyes. He's Echoes World. He's a director and he makes movies. He's also a Chicano. Um, he always says things. He says this one line. I'm probably gonna screw it up, but he says, if you want to see the truth, look at the movies.
Yeah.
He always says that movies are based off truth, and it's crazy because the movie you just said, Avatar, is very based on the Bible. You know,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
when you look at the history of the Bible and you see that movie, when Earth went to shit. I don't know if you know when do you believe Earth went to shit in the Bible?
The day of the flood.
Oh, okay, you're getting there now. What caused the flood?
That they were
Why did
being
the flood?
disobedient.
Who was being disobedient?
I don't know. Is it the guy that I yeah, no. I'm guessing. Now I'm guessing. I don't know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
the ones that were being disobedient were the angels. A lot. The Bible would say that it was humans. God was mad at humans for being bad, behaving badly, not following God's law. But it was the angels that were here at that time. They were the ones that were behaving badly. There was the ones that would probably were the ones that a flood needed to happen. But if you look at the movie Avatar,
Mhm.
these humans came from space, right? They came from their flying ships, completely alien to that world. They could fly. They had technology, and the people from the Avatar world, they're like, oh shit, who the hell are these people? Like these people
Yeah.
that fly and they can do all these things. Like who
Sky
are they? And you notice that in the history of the Bible, angels ended up having Nephilims. I don't know if you're familiar with that word, Nephilims.
Yes, I am familiar with the word. Yeah.
Okay, so they had Nephilims. They had their children with humans.
Hmm.
And in that movie, these humans were putting their minds inside the bodies of the native people, or saying they were creating their own Nephilims in
Hmm.
in that aspect.
Yeah.
And these, I guess, in the movie, I would consider those humans as angels, as a representation of angels, where they came to this planet to take their resources and
Hmm.
and completely genocide the inhabitants of that planet or wherever they were trying to mine, because the goal was that they were trying to mine. And
Right.
when you look at a lot of these old stories of even the story of the starts with an A, the Anunnakis.
Mm.
The story of the Anunnaki is that there were aliens that came to Earth to get the gold in this planet, and they created humans so they could use them to mine the gold for them. Which that's the story for the Anunnakis. It's interesting that in that story of the Avatar, humans came to that planet to take their resources also. But not only take their resources, but they made it a thing to cut down their trees.
Mm.
And when you look at our planet and you see those big giant stumps that are clearly not mountains, I mean, maybe they're telling us a piece of the history that happened back then. But instead of it being humans that were doing that, it was angels that were creating these Nephilims to blend into their society and take it
Yeah.
or take their planet. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
those kind of things remind me of how little we know nowadays. You know,
Yeah.
like, so the last time I was thinking about that as well, I was watching this little like clip where there was like little pools of like water that you can find around the pyramids, like
Oh, okay.
they reflect the sky, and you can see, they were studying the sky through this little piece of water, right? And it
Hmm.
just made me realize, like, wow, like we really don't know anything anymore. Like that's crazy. Like, I've been living on this earth for this long, but when it just kind of like clicked that day, I was like, wow, like no sabemos nada. Like we don't know anything.
It's
We
funny
don't
that
know
you said
anything.
that too, because I had just recently saw a clip of those puddles also.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. It's
crazy.
interesting. Like, how were they studying? Like they knew so much, and we don't know shit now. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know.
mean, Marvelous said that on the show that they do back then they had a way of using waters to look at the sky and study the study the skies.
Yeah, he put on the chat. Most indigenous tribes spoke with their hands to communicate, and I
Like
think
sign
that's one of the best
language.
ways. You saw that one?
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't get it past. I mean, like I said, I think we definitely went through a baby phase again after what I would say was a reset of our history, of our knowledge. I think we became babies as far as a society.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I can't help but think maybe we're gonna go to a higher place. Sometimes when you go back, usually you go to a higher, you kind of like a slingshot. You pull back and then you propel yourself somewhere forward, even hopefully somewhere
I think
further.
so too. Yeah, I think so also. I mean, I think we're up. It's time. We definitely awaken. I think for the most part, our population was very low to do that. I said in the last podcast I did here that we went through a war, a huge war, where it annihilated a lot of our population.
Mm,
And when that happened, we had the other tribes that were still on hold in the caves come out,
mhm.
because once our population got demolished, we still had indigenous people and other tribes in caves, because the story goes that you know there were 7 tribes, and at a certain point in the beginning, some of them left, but some of them stayed behind.
Mm,
The fact that I see that they came after that war that we had, these other tribes finally came out of their caves, and which are the ones that I would like to think are like the Mexica, the Apache, every tribe that's probably north of Mexico and the native in the states, I believe, came out of that tribe after that war had happened.
mm.
Because and one of the reasons why we were so behind is because our population was low, and we were still recovering from a massive flood that occurred, which is why a lot of our ruins, a lot of our pyramids are still covered to this day because of that flood. And we're just barely finding them because they got buried because of that flood.
Mhm.
So now that we're communicating, like you and me, you're in Tijuana right now. We're
Yeah.
communicating. Next time, it's either going to be me or you talking to somebody in Peru or Chile or Colombia. You
Shout
know,
outs to Peru. Yeah.
definitely, and it's gonna, and I've always said that in this channel that I eventually want a panel here where it could be you and me and people from those different countries in South America. We could be all talking to each other in one language, coming up with ideas and acting on them to create a system built for us, because these are our lands. The system should be adjusted for us, for our people to thrive, because I definitely believe that our time is now here.
You
The
don't think that would
numbers.
simplify things too much? Like having the same language? You don't think that would be too simplistic? Like that would take away the richness of diversity in the world? Like just to have one
Well,
language?
that's why I said
Yeah.
I told that panel, no, keep your language, keep it,
Oh, okay.
study it, teach it to your children, keep it. But in the sense where unification comes into play, we should definitely choose one language.
Okay.
Or in the sense where we all have to be bilingual, sometimes trilingual, but more for the most part, we do have to. We
Never eat a
should be
bingo.
bilingual. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. But for the most part, yeah, I think that's the way to go for us, and that's what I really want to see. I want to see us being able to communicate with different countries south of here because this government here really made a point to keep them in the shadow from us, make us not think that there's opportunity there, make us
Yeah.
think that if we go there, the government is gonna execute us just because we're from here or just because we don't agree with them. You
Yeah,
know,
that's not the case at
that's not
all.
the case. They got beaches there. They got beach property there that some of these people they don't want us to know because they know we could come up with a way to buy that beach property. They
Yeah.
know they will sell it to us before they'll sell it to a widow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Gabachos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because I see here in the states when I go to like Manhattan Beach or Santa Monica and I see Malibu, I see these guys, these people's homes. I'm like, how the hell did they get these homes? And they make sure that the value goes so high up that we could never think about getting those. Well, at least where we're at now.
One day, Norby, pretty soon.
I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind a beachside property. Not here though. Not here. I wouldn't want it to be here. I would
Yeah.
want it to be in Mexico for sure.
Oh,
Oaxaca.
yes.
I would want it to be there. I've said this before. I think at the end of it all, the last half of my life, I would definitely want to spend it in Mexico and not here. I love LA, but at the same time, I'm like, why shouldn't I give myself the opportunity to maybe try and flourish somewhere where almost everybody looks like me, and I'm not gonna get a look like what are you doing here? You don't belong here.
Well, you belong in the States too, though, because that's our land as well. So,
Yeah, no, no,
you know,
and you're right. But these people, when you go to their stores, you go to their restaurants, they look at you like that, and like, I
let's
don't
not
need to
go,
be here.
Norbies. Let's just stop going over there.
I know, right?
Yeah, let's not go. We're not welcome there, so let's stop going.
I want to take their cooks. I want their cooks to like go to a restaurant where they'll be respected because I talked to a cook from Manhattan Beach,
Mhm.
and he told me, like, I told him, oh, what's it like working over there? He's like, yeah, it's cool, it's busy, we're it makes money. I'm like, oh, okay, they treat you good. I'm like, yeah, they treat me good, but I'll be honest with you, I don't like the people there.
Hey, excuse
I'm
me.
like, oh no, it's okay. Uh, and I tell him, really? I'm like, well, how come you don't like them? Like, I'm pretty sure they treat you good. You're the cook.
Yeah.
They're like, no, no, they don't. They look at me. They say racist stuff while I'm walking away, and I could hear it. They don't think I can speak English because they look at me and they think we only speak Spanish. So they say all these racist words, and knowing that I'm the cook and I'm
You didn't
leaving.
spit on their food. They
Yeah,
know that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
spit
And I
on them.
say, but and I tell them, and, well, you know what? It's funny because I did tell them, why don't you just spit at their food? Fuck them. And said, no, you know what? I like, I like my job. I like my job,
Oh,
and
that's nice.
I
Yeah.
make good money, and I feed my family. I bought houses because of this place. Fuck these pendejos. But for the most part, I'm going to just do it until I can't, and then just retire and be happy. Fuck these people.
Dang,
I'm
that
like,
sucks. That's crazy having to deal with that. I mean, at the same time, when you work, you should. What people say about you shouldn't really matter anyway. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's getting his money. Forget about what people are saying.
have you
But I
ever
mean, at the
experienced
same
that?
time, if you're hearing it every day, I'm sorry.
Have you ever experienced that?
Bad situations at work, yeah. Maybe not that one specifically.
Really? What's a
Yeah.
bad situation that happened to you that
A
you can
bad
recall?
situation. Let's see. A bad situation at work. Let's see. Oh, that's hard. That's a good one. Just people not liking that I'm a stand-up person at work.
Oh,
Yeah, just that makes me the black sheep everywhere I go. Porque everybody is still not in their highest form. You can say I'm not either. I mean, there's still things to do.
yeah,
But
yeah.
overall, there's a lot of people, like you said, the education, like you said, it comes back down to that, to education. And yeah, I forgot what
No,
I was
no,
going with that.
No, but that's why I do say, education has been molding us also as far as our society, as far as our culture. Because I mean, the more we learn, the higher we are, the more we know how their system works, the more we could adapt to it and even use it for our benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I feel for the guy. I'm pretty sure he was going through a hard time hearing all those racial slurs, you know? But I mean, maybe I'm just too resilient, you know? Maybe that's just me, you know? I would have been like, okay, whatever. I'm getting my money. I don't care,
Well, I mean, for the most part, that's what he was going for. He did the same thing. He said, "I don't give a fuck. Fuck them. I'm still getting paid. I'm making money. I
And in
probably have more money than them."
yeah, and in reality, who's suffering more here? Is that person that has feels the need to talk like this about people, you know? If anything, a mí me dan como, ¿cómo se dice? Like, I feel bad for them. Like, really, you feel the need to do that, to talk to people like that? That's horrible. You must feel horrible inside. You
Tell
know,
me
like,
about it.
yeah, that's horrible. You must feel so horrible inside. And I feel for you. Me dan lástima. That's the word I was looking for. Me das lástima that you can't even get along with people. You can even be nice to the waiter. Like, that sucks. It sucks to be you. You know, it
Yeah.
sucks to be that person that can be polite, that can be just a good person overall, you know?
Well, let me ask you: do you think races are born or they're made?
No, they cannot be born. Somebody had to teach them that, you know? Nobody's born with a hateful heart like that, you know?
Yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, I think you're right. Also, yeah, I think they're raised like that. I recall a story from the city called Palos Verdes here. It's
Hmm.
a really nice neighborhood, very fancy, very white. Um, some of these high school kids actually got caught doing a kickback, if you may. But this kickback was interesting because they had their drinking cups shaped in a swastika, and you're like, man,
Wow.
these are high school kids. Well, what are they doing? But
They're all proud.
yeah, they're all proud, and they're high school kids,
Give
and
me
then
that
but
shit.
then you realize, man, that they had to have learned this from an uncle, a dad, maybe even a mom.
That's crazy. No,
It is.
pobrecitos.
It's
Denver
sad. It's
Dirt Bike Squad. I'm sorry, nervous. I'm talking over you. What's
no, no,
TC's
no.
favorite food? Mexican food, homeboy. What else?
Okay, you say Mexican food, but I had this conversation with somebody that Mexican food is the same thing, just presented differently every time.
So,
And then I get to a realization, you know what? That's a good way to survive on the same ingredients.
yeah.
That's a good way to survive. Make it look different every time so it doesn't feel like you're eating the same thing over and over again.
Enchiladas, tacos, shit.
Yeah, because I'm
Pozole.
thinking,
Shoot it.
yeah, yeah, for the most part, everything has meat, beans, and rice on the side or inside.
Corn. Yeah. Corn for everything. Yeah.
Well, that hey, with corn, Marvelous tends to say that corn isn't good for us and health wise, but I truly do believe that we can eat corn because we have passed down enough genetic information where our gut and our stomachs have the right type of enzymes to break down corn. Because corn does have a skin on around it where güeros have a hard time digesting it.
Yeah.
They can't have gluten and stuff.
Yeah.
That is that a thing for you? That gluten stuff?
No, I like pan. I like conchas. I like bolillos. You know, all that good stuff.
Hey, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Los white people, yeah, they're picky. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me ask you, and let's go bring up another topic, and maybe we'll close it off with this topic.
Okay, cool.
Because I think it's already gonna be 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it is. I do have to get out of here too. I'm at work.
Oh, you are all right.
Yeah,
Hey, shout out to you.
find that looks kind of like all right, you know? Like, all right.
Heck yeah. So the I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with the whole Diddy case by any chance?
Yes, I
The,
am.
the whole
Yes. Yeah.
the
Did he
whole
do
thing.
it? All the
Did
baby
he do?
oil.
All right, all right. So the court case happened, and the witnesses are talking. The most notable today was the ex girlfriend. I think her name is Cassie,
Yeah.
where she described the events that were occurring in these freak offs. Uh,
Oh, okay.
and she described herself as having to go through all that stuff where she was having sex with his guests, and they were doing all these things to her. She described all these things that happened to her that she like in this. I don't know if she willingly did it or she felt she had to do it. But it seems like the narrative seems that she's suggesting that if she didn't do those things, Diddy would just drop her and replace her. So she didn't want that because she enjoyed the lifestyle,
Mm,
meaning the money,
mhm.
the homes, the riches.
Yeah.
But the crazy part, the scenes that she described were so bad that her current husband that she has kids with actually stormed out of the courtroom after hearing some of these stories. He just
Yeah.
said, "Ah, fuck, I had it." He left.
Hmm.
Do you think? Do you think the husband will stick around? And if he does stick around, why? Or do you think that he would probably leave? And why would he leave?
I think if he sticks around, he probably really believes that she was a victim. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah,
he really feels for that.
yeah,
But I feel like he might not because it might be too much for him to deal with. I mean, if she says she didn't stop just because of her fear being replaced, that doesn't sound like you were a victim. It sounds like you were willingly participating, you know?
yeah, yeah.
You had a motive why you were staying, it wasn't just, oh, he has me here. It was more of what you were getting out of it.
That
And,
part.
yeah, exactly. And yes, of course, sometimes it's hard to get out of these situations, but after so many, that's, I mean, those are very like very shocking things that she was going through to what you're saying that she's saying that she went through. I don't think a person will need like to go through that for years to really realize, you know what, this is horrible, I need to get out of here,
Yeah,
like those are like super bad things that you wouldn't need 2 3 years to go through to realize, hey, this is horrible.
yeah,
Either she was just playing the part, or you know what I mean, what do you
yeah.
think, Norbies?
I mean, I would like to start out with maybe the husband was probably thinking, wow, she didn't do any of that with me.
Can
She
we do
told
that?
me she told me she didn't know anything about that. And she did all of that stuff. No, no, but I mean, it's tough because again, she has. I think from what I hear, she has 2 kids with him with that guy. So it's gonna be tough where you're like, fuck, she did all this stuff. I should have checked myself out with a doctor before afterwards.
I saw the caption that you put on that. You said something about not being, if you're insecure, don't try to figure out your girl's past.
Oh yeah,
So is
yeah,
that
yeah.
is that what you think, or like what
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're
would you
not
say?
ready,
That was
if you're
you?
not,
Did you
if
say?
you're, yeah, yeah, that's what I said that on one of the posts. If you're not ready to hear your girl's past, don't ask
Yeah.
because women have a past, and
Just like guys, of
just like
course.
guys, yes, just
Of course, yeah.
yeah. I thought you said like whores. Like, guys can't be whores.
No.
Guys can't be whores. Like, Marvelous has a question for you. I think he says, "What, TC the G? What do you think about the white Jewish people getting busted for child trafficking in indigenous lands? They recently had some big busts." Oh, that's a good question. Do you know anything about that?
I don't, but that's interesting since the president is Jewish, that's pretty interesting.
Oh,
Maybe she's part of, I mean, dang, that makes me feel like maybe she's part of that as well. I mean, you know these people, right? People in power. I mean, I can say, "Oh, she looks nice," but wow, I didn't know there was like a whole Jewish thing going on.
yeah,
So that kind of makes me feel like, oh, maybe they're connected. You
I
know?
know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've always heard that
If she
rumor
likes
that
the
there.
black pee. No, I like the Mexican pee. I'm sorry.
That's right. Let's see. I know that there's stories about that, but I'm trying to see if I can find anything concerning that. Marvelous, if you're on here, can you tell me like where would you find footage or any video clips of what you just said? He said, he said, "Oh, send me the footage." All right, cool. All right, please do.
No, nice. Well, let
Like,
me know,
ladies and
guys. What you guys find out? I'm interested.
yeah, right. I mean that's crazy if that's what's happening. You know, I totally forgot that I could do this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I totally forgot I could do this on this thing.
Next time for your next
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Child trafficking in indigenous land. Okay, that's a good way of it.
Yeah, I hate child trafficking for sure, so yeah, that's horrible.
I think Marvelous knows that, so that's why he pointed that out for you, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it too.
Yeah, it's horrible. Especially because, like I told you, I was part of my mom was, she was a worker in La Cahuila. Okay, you guys know Tijuana right here. She was a worker from La Cahuila.
Mhm.
So when I hear stories about kids, just because I went through that as well, being with a mom like that and things like that, it touches a special place in my heart, when it comes to like
Mm,
children and sex with children, just that whole scenario. They don't match. Children don't match. Children should not be anywhere around sex.
yeah, I
It's
agree
with
on that
children.
one. I definitely agree with that. I'm trying to see if there. I don't. I can't find anything concerning that or touching on that. But we'll get into that another time, I suppose. But yeah. So where were we again? Before I wait, with Marlon's question.
We were talking about Cassie's freak offs with P
Oh
Diddy.
yes, yes, Cassie's freak offs. Yeah, I mean, if the guy goes back, I mean, that's a tough situation because you're hearing that she went through, she got ran through. She got ran through. You're
What
like
do you say?
that. Huh?
What do you say? If that was your girl, what do you say?
Oh man, why'd you put me on the spot like that? Okay, but I'm gonna put you on that spot at that also, and
You
then
already
return
did.
that.
It's
No,
your
I
turn.
didn't ask you if you knew your due did that much, would you stay? Um,
Oh,
so
I would. I
we'll
would. I would just be like, you're crazy.
you had
You're
a lot of
crazy.
coochie in your day, like too
Yeah.
much.
But
But
it's just
even though
sometimes
it
I'm
wasn't
so
put,
open about how guys and how they are. Maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. But
but
I just understand.
in this situation, it's different because it's
Yeah,
public knowledge now.
that's
Everybody
that's
knows.
true.
Now, would you be comfortable knowing that everybody knew your dude, had all this freakouts with uh with her celebrity partner at the time,
I
and
really wouldn't care. This it's my man. What do you care?
it's
You
mine
know,
now.
it's my man. So what do you care? I wouldn't give it that much importance if people knew about it.
You know what? Yeah, for the most part, I mean, that's for me. That's a tough one to say. I mean, at that point, I'm already there. That this long, we've had two kids. You already built something. I'm like, how do you give it all? How do you give all that up? And just because of something that happened back then, I mean, is it?
Right. Right.
I don't know if I would. Yeah, I think I would definitely consider that. More than likely, I would probably just stick around.
Oh, that's too sweet. That's right, Morbius.
I mean, if not for her, the kids also, because it sucks
Of course,
raising.
the kids.
It
Yeah.
sucks. Yeah, it sucks when a kid can't see a parent anymore. You know, I don't know if you ever you know that band Everclear.
The banner.
No, a band called Everclear.
Oh,
Is
a
it
band
Everclear?
called Everclear. No, I have not.
No, it's a band from Santa Monica, but they have this one song called "Father of Mine," and he pretty much speaks about how the experience he went through when his dad left him, like at 10 years old, and how much his life sucked knowing that his dad was in there.
Mm, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I do you have time to see this video or your
No, no. Let's watch it. Let's watch it. Yes, Jackie. No, no, no worries. I might as well take advantage. Take
uh,
advantage. Just take advantage.
okay, let's see. Send me this one right here. Um okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. I'll share it right now so you can see it also. Can you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. So
60 children were
Can you hear
rescued
it?
in a police
Yes, I
raid on a fringe fundamentalist Jewish sect called Left Tahor in Guatemala. Members of Left Tahor broke into a shelter and tried to recapture the kids. The Attorney General's office in Guatemala says with police help, they were able to locate and protect everyone once again. Now, Left Tahor is often described as an ultra-religious Jewish cult. It's facing allegations of sexually abusing minors and human trafficking crimes, including forced pregnancy, child marriage, and rape. A horrific story indeed, but certainly not representative of the Jewish community as a whole. So to speak about this more, I am joined now by Ilan Lopez, the executive director of the Jewish community in Guatemala. Ilan, thanks for being with us on the Rundown this evening.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, my main question right now is how the Jewish community in Guatemala is reacting to this horrific news that's really grappling the entire country.
Well, look, we were there yesterday when the grown-ups of the sect broke into a place where the kids were keeping safe, and they escaped and they took them away. We're dealing here with a crazy situation. I'm sure that you all can imagine the PR disaster that this is for a Jewish community, the humanitarian crisis that we're seeing because these kids have been brainwashed and are being told to not cooperate with the authorities. We have been seeing how the leftover members make a lot of aggressions towards the local authorities. And we as a community are supporting the local authorities for them to be able to do this job. We have been providing kosher food for the members for the kids. We have been providing with all the humanitarian needs for that they need to keep them well, following the Jewish laws. But for sure, we are very preoccupied and worried about the safety of these kids, the relationship and the reputation of the Jewish community as a whole.
Yeah, right.
Because these people, as you said, do not represent the Jewish community. They are not part of any Jewish community. And we have been saying since almost 10 years ago that the way that they behave do not represent it, do not follow the Jewish law.
Well, have you ever been in contact with members of Let the Horse since they've been in Guatemala? Have they tried to approach different members of your Jewish community?
No. So, look, we have a fundamental differences between us as a community and them. We are Zionists, proudly Zionists. We are people that respect the society and social laws. And that's why they haven't been in contact with us. Even though we have been following this issue for, as I said, the last 10 years, when they arrived for the first time to Guatemala.
And so right now, Ilana, in your opinion, after helping these 160 Jewish children who are facing multiple years of abuse, what more should be done to actually crack down on this Jewish cult, Let the Whore, in Guatemala?
Look, I think this is a unique opportunity. And I think the U.S. government, the Canadian government, and the Israeli government needs to support the Guatemalan authority, needs to give all of the support that they can give in order for this to stop. We have been seeing how these kids have been keeping hostage, from their entire life. And it's a very bad situation. I think we have been hearing from families in Israel that have some relatives here, from families in the U.S. that are trying desperately to rescue their family members. And I think this, again, it's a unique opportunity to save more than 150 kids. Remember that a couple of months ago, they tried to escape to Iran. They tried to, because they hate the state of Israel. So they wanted to join the Iranian regime. You can only imagine what this means for Israel and for us as the Jewish people.
I'm gonna stop it right there, but because I thought it was crazy. So this guy is definitely an Israeli that's in Guatemala.
I've heard some Jewish people, they're not really, I'm not sure if I heard it with you and Marvelous, but that some Jewish people, they're not really like Jewish, that they throw like the 666.
Oh yeah. You know what? Marvelous says that these are not the real Jews. That's why he says they're called Jewish. Ish is that part.
Oh, okay, now, yeah, I think that's where.
And for
That's
the
what it
most part,
sounds. This is what it's sounding like to me. Like they're those probably those people, the ones that throw the 666, not the real Jewish people.
yeah. I think for the most part, yeah. I mean, that's crazy that they're going to these their countries south of us and creating these communities and possibly doing it in different parts, doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's horrible. I pray for those kids, honestly. Pobrecitos.
Me too, because
God bless their soul. That's
they're,
crazy.
they're using the indigenous kids from that land to do God knows what to them.
Yeah.
And because again, because of education, people are not responding correctly to it.
And some parents even like sell their kids, or things like that we wouldn't even know about.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm going to show
not
one last
excusing,
clip,
but
and then that's it. All right, let me see. He said 1850. This clip supposedly this one white dude actually confronts
We
this
are Jacob. Okay.
coat. Okay, here we go. Let's see. We'll do this and then we'll play that.
Here's one Jew hiding behind the poster. Hey, amigo, ¿tú hablas español o inglés? English? Poquito. I don't think he wants to talk.
You can tell even the way they walk so
They got their
weird. It's
ladies.
like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Wow.
Why are those tents like that?
So they got their tents here.
Drugs, that's what it seems like.
Why do they have
So this is how they're
tents?
protesting. They're sleeping on the streets.
Oh,
So all of these,
Guatemala, Skid Row.
they seem kind of reluctant
Yeah.
to talk.
that's what
All
I'm
of these
thinking
little
also.
makeshift camps here are them. This is how they're protesting. They don't really want to talk, I suppose. Oh, there goes one of them hiding behind the sheet. Una pregunta. ¿Hay alguien aquí que me puede explicar lo que está pasando?
These people are
Un
hiding.
representante
Yeah.
o algo así.
That's not God. What are you doing?
Alguien que puede
I know, right?
representar, hablar.
Yeah. Hiding? God doesn't hide.
Pero alguien viene, ¿no?
Termina de eso.
Ah. Solo él.
Hay uno que cuando termina de eso de repente habla. Pero bueno.
Right.
They remind me
We're
of the
gonna wait
hippie
here
era.
until somebody
You know,
sees.
back in the day, the 60s,
Yeah.
the hippies were like, yeah.
This is probably the
They had
company
those
that's protesting
coats.
away.
They're all getting drugged up with shrooms and
They made
acid.
quite a mess, I must say.
Yeah.
That's crazy that they're just letting them like
They don't
really
really like the
camp
camera.
out like that.
Please let our children live. So nobody wants to talk. They're all hiding away. The women all covered up from head to toe, and the men are busy praying.
That's crazy that that's going on over there.
Buenas.
La verdad que está
Sí.
pasando aquí es
Sí,
más,
quiero
de,
que.
más
sí.
de todo es usted ya no se lo escuchó, pero ya el problema que está pasando aquí ya hace más de 3 meses. Ahora
Más de 3 meses.
aproximadamente va a estar como 23 meses y la verdad se empezó ya antes.
Sí.
Pero el que mire, ya pasó 3 meses y todavía no trae ninguna evidencia contra nadie.
Entonces, ¿qué pasó? ¿Me puede explicar desde el inicio?
Del inicio se pasaron, vinieron ahí en 20 de diciembre, de un solo la capturaron todos los niños, cualquiera que estuvo en la finca lo capturaron,
Allá en la finca, afuera.
sin nombres, sin identificados, sin nada.
La policía.
La policía, el Ministerio Público, la PGN, todo lo que eso ya es como parte que cómo manejan.
That part where he thinks it's like the U.S., they should at least get the same thing treatment they would here.
Una visitante que venía ayer, cualquiera que estaba ahí, menores de edad, mayores de edad, cualquiera que estuvo ahí, lo capturaron.
Llevaron los niños.
Los
¿Y
niños,
por qué?
las mujeres, ellos dijeron supuestamente que hay denuncias, pero hasta hoy ya pasó 3 meses, todavía no traen ninguna evidencia de nadie,
No hay pruebas.
no hay ningún prueba.
Entonces, los niños no están casando menores de edad.
El que otra vez te explico,
Sí.
hay edad que está permitida casar, pero
Sí.
no es el tiempo que uno se casa.
¿Cómo así permito casar?
Como dicen las autoridades que antes de 3 años no estás permitido a casar.
Antes de 13.
De 3.
Entonces,
So as long as you're over 13, you can get married.
No, casi no.
¿No lo hicieron entonces?
Casi
¿o
no.
Bueno, uno puede
Casi
decir
no.
que tiene un
That
novio,
part.
no? Ajá.
pero decir que casado te van a hacer con el registrado, no sé. No hay ninguna registrada.
That guy's
Sí,
missing
porque
his
la ley aquí
13-year-old.
en Guatemala es 18 y para arriba.
Bueno, no hay ninguna que casó
Registrado.
antes de 18, no hay ni uno.
Pero originalmente tú eres de Israel, ¿no?
Estados Unidos.
Estados Unidos. So why you don't speak to me in English, man?
You know, easy me. I believe here 10 years.
Playing the part, that's why.
Yeah,
So
right.
guys, there we have it. Spoke to one of the Left to Hall members. It's hard to get an answer from them because they're very reluctant on speaking to the camera, and obviously they're gonna share and tell their side of the story, right? And you never know who's telling the truth. But one thing I do know is that there's no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that part right there. So that's crazy. That is crazy. I'm glad. Thank you, Marvelous, for sharing that with us because I had no idea. Yeah, he had
That's that
told.
guy. Shit, that guy was gangster. He's like, what are you guys doing?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'll definitely give that guy a shout out for being there and putting it out there because like I said, education plays a part. That's why you probably don't see a Guatemalan native there, telling what the hell were you guys doing over there, you know?
Yeah. They should. The Guatemalan people are like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. But
You know?
that's why I say for the most part, I think as education
Yeah.
plays a
Yes. Of
key
course.
role
Yeah.
in all
Yeah.
of this. Like
Yeah.
Central America, the governments were not trying to teach the natives there. Instead, they made sure to dumbify them in a sense. Because if they get knowledge and they start to understand how their system works, they're gonna realize, wait a minute, why are you running this place? You're like only 10 of you. We're like 1,000.
Yeah.
We literally have the numbers to take back all of this. Because I
Yeah. They
always
keep them
say,
in fear. They keep them in
yeah,
fear.
they keep
Yeah.
us in fear and they make sure we're not educated so that we don't understand it and it confuses us so we don't even try.
We don't need to be educated to kill motherfuckers, though. You know.
Hey, that part right there.
I don't need education for that.
But we
Fool.
need a good
Like,
reason. But we need a good reason,
of
a
course. Of
solid
course.
reason. Because if we don't have a solid reason that we can't comprehend, we're just not gonna do it. It just has to be solid enough,
Yeah. Taking kids.
concrete.
I would believe that's not enough.
Oh yeah, especially if you saw it happening, and I've seen videos out there where that the mob acts out, the mob comes through
Yeah.
when it comes to things like that. But yeah, all right. Well,
They would.
aside from that, TC, I think we've definitely got to the end. It's already 9:12. We went a good 2 hours. I don't know
Yeah.
if
We
it went by fast for me because for me talking with somebody it's always fun. I always enjoy getting other people's perspective, and this one's a very special one because it's a female perspective. For the most part, I always talk to men
Mm,
and I get their perspective, and for the most part, we tend to find common ground, except for Jay from South Texas. We eventually meet halfway, but for the most part, we speak and then we converse and we learn. And today, I want to thank you because you're the first female on here that gave us your perspective on things. Because like I said, us guys, we're not psychic when it comes to women. Especially how their thought process and their emotions. Uh, we didn't get too much education on that part. Especially the ones that just looked at the videos and thought all girls act like that. They all know how to do that, right?
some of them do. No. No.
So
No.
thank you for coming here tonight, being part of this, having a conversation with me, talking about topics, and again, because it's always rare to have women on podcasts with men to give us their insight because we truly do need the insights of women and in these podcast world because I'm pretty sure you've seen it is very much dominated by men unless women
Yes.
are talking a certain way. And even the women that actually talk very specifically about against women, they actually get taken down. Women that are against feminism and believe in the family structure, and they actually get taken down by other people. So so that's why those type of women that are strong-willed and have a good message, a positive message, a moral message, they don't get too much of the spotlight because if it's not men taking over, it's men that act like like chismosas that are getting the views,
Yeah.
and women that are being very dirty that are getting the views.
Yeah.
So right now, like all these, everyone that's here tonight, you gave us a insight that we normally don't get. I mean, some of them might have, some of these guys in the chat, they might have wives, they might have girlfriends, but you know, the way we talk tonight, it's I don't know if they have those conversations. I would hope that they do have those conversations because conversating like this helps communication, helps growth, and gives us insight to what a woman thinks. And I think that's definitely important.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me here today, Norbies. I appreciate it with all my heart, like definitely. And yes, I've noticed it's mainly guys, that run the podcast world and even the music world. It's guys. So I do appreciate that you guys that you're open enough to listen to women's perspective, because not even some guys don't even care to hear about it. They're so caught up in their ego and what their podcast is, and that's it.
Yeah,
So,
for the most
yeah.
part. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. So again, thank you for coming through tonight, and we definitely got to do this again. 'Cause this was very fun to me. This was very fun. I enjoyed it, and it's not that often that I get to talk to another woman and get their perspective. So for me, it's definitely a treat. For the guys, definitely, I would definitely say it's a treat for them too, because these guys tend to only watch guys also
Yeah.
that on these podcasts. So having you here is definitely a blessing, and thank you.
We're educating Norbies. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. And thank you for everybody that tuned in today. Thank you to the Hip Hop Jedi for the flyer, and Marvelous for tuning in and everything. I appreciate you and your whole team, and big hug to all of you guys. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see you in the next one then, right?
Yes, we will definitely. Let's do it again. I was a little nervous because it's my first time hanging out with you, but next time I know you better now.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what matters. That's how we build these bridges, by showing up and actually doing it.
Yeah.
So we definitely build a bridge here, and we're gonna do it again, guys. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. We're gonna have TC here giving us her perspective on things, and until the next one, guys. So thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Do anybody make real shit anymore?
Put the word on the flam, forget temper, just toss that ham in the frying pan. I stand and done when I come and slam. Yeah, I feel like the son of Sam. Don't make me wreck. Get the check, got me going like General Electric. And the lights are blinking. I'm thinking it's all over when I